To Washington now, we're just 2 hours from the president's State of the Union address, which the White House says is titled The Great American Comeback.
The White House also says President Trump is not expected to mention the word impeachment at all. CBS 13's Deborah Alfarone is on Capitol Hill with a preview.
Those words will welcome President Trump to the House chamber tonight for the annual State of the Union address.
He's ready to deliver it. He has certain methods he does to prepare, but it's a big speech because he's done a lot.
A big focus of the speech is expected to be what the White House is calling the blue-collar boom, highlighting the economy and trade. The president also plans to discuss immigration, national security, and health care.
I'm hoping he gives us a vision for the future. Very optimistic, I hope.
Among those seated in the joint session of Congress will be senators who are scheduled to take a final vote Wednesday on whether or not to convict President Trump of 2 articles of impeachment.
I will vote for impeachment and removal not because I hate this president, because I don't, but because I love our country more.
The House managers have abused the constitutional process by trying to use impeachment to settle a partisan score.
Undecided West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin has called for censure instead of impeachment.
I'm not interested in censuring him. I'm interested in acquitting him.
I don't think it's commensurate with the gravity of the offenses here.
Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer will offer the official Democratic response to the State of the Union. Texas Congresswoman Veronica Escobar will deliver the Spanish language response.
Well, the president has invited several special guests to sit with the First Lady during the State of the Union address.
And of course, you can watch the coverage of the State of the Union here on CBS 13 tonight at 6 after the evening news with Norah O'Donnell.
CBS 13 political analyst Gary Dietrich joins us. Thanks for joining us, Gary. So,
few things going on politically this week.
A couple things.
Well, not aware of that.
A couple things. So, what do we expect to hear tonight from President Trump? And do you think he's going to stick to the script?
Well, the over-under on that, you have to talk about. But I think the important thing is he feels like he's got a huge litany of accomplishments. And when do you get a free hour of primetime stuff in a presidential year? So I think we're going to hear a lot of what he perceives to be his successes. And we got new Gallup poll numbers that he certainly will be crowing about as well.
49% approval.
Yeah, I mean, his highest yet.
Yeah.
And as they say in sports, maybe he's peaking at the right time, at least in their view.
So Speaker Nancy Pelosi, obviously going to be there. It's the first time they're going to be in the same room since the impeachment trial.
She will remember be sitting right behind the president. I mean, there will be a cam on her face
He's doing the
entire time. In fact, they might do a split cam the whole time. They had two screens with Pelosi. But yeah, that's going to be very interesting. People are actually betting on whether he's going to shake her hand or not. There's one over-under.
There's a lot of over-unders, right? A lot of bets. We just kind of have a Super Bowl, and now there's bets on what he will and will not say tonight.
Yeah, there you go.
A bit of a victory for the president, too. Today, we expected the front page of newspapers across the country saying who came out on top of Iowa.
Yeah.
Nobody. So who are the winners? Who are the losers when it comes to Iowa, right?
Nobody is a winner. No,
Yeah.
we do have the early numbers, of course. 2/3 of the precincts are now in. Pete Buttigieg just ahead of Bernie Sanders. Notably, Joe Biden in 4th place. I'm certain the president has taken note of that. So he's a winner out of. Here's another weird winner out of Iowa. Somebody who wasn't on the ballot, Mike Bloomberg, who skipped Iowa and now could say, well, might have been a good idea after all.
And some are saying the people who are supporting Biden, not seeing him do so well, might jump ship and start supporting Bloomberg. What do you think about that?
Well, they're both trying to draw from that sort of moderate lane, along with Amy Klobuchar, who in some polls, and even in Iowa, did almost as well as Biden. So he's got some work to do in the next couple of states. He's looking towards South Carolina. He knows that Warren and Sanders will be duking it up probably. Maybe Buttigieg now also in New Hampshire.
New Hampshire 1 week from now.
Do you think Biden's poor showing was a surprise?
Well, you know, those who are on the ground in Iowa don't think so, because he didn't work it nearly as hard as some of the other candidates did, most notably Warren, Sanders, even Amy Klobuchar. So, you know, he's taken an awful lot on the primaries after these.
He had the ability to do so, while the others were stuck in Washington for the impeachment trial.
Well, he did have an advantage. Some people say, well, that didn't really show up in
Didn't
the
pay
caucuses.
off, right. Well, more to come, and I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of you over the next weeks and months. Thanks so much, Gary.
Of course.